Hello, my name is Ishaan, and in this video we're going to be talking about creative writing for English language paper 1 and paper 2 and how I scored almost full marks on that paper. I scored 38 out of 40 in my creative writing for paper 1. I can't remember what I did in paper 2, but it was really good. I'm currently doing English language A level, so please do listen to my advice and how creative writing is so important. Because it's worth half of your paper. It can really rake up your marks, especially if you're not good at analysis. So this is how you're going to do well in your creative writing exam. So the first thing you want to do for paper 1 is choose between you want to take the story, which is the narrative option, or the description. Me personally, I always choose the description because I know how to carefully craft a description to make it very vivid, to make it very punchy and very sort of because for narratives you have to frame it in a way where you have to have a storyline. There's a lot more that needs to happen with the narrative compared to a description, and my teacher always recommended that we do a description because you get a picture and you can basically start anywhere you want, and you can basically lead up to tension or whatever you want, and I think that descriptions are generally easier if you know what you're doing. So yeah, my advice is go for description. But if you are really good at storytelling, if you're really good at creating a hook or cliffhangers, if you're really good at describing specific events, then go for the story. But that wasn't me, so I always chose the description. Now, number one, what you have to always do is think about your structure. You have to structure a description right. You have to begin with focusing on something. So what I like to do is I tend to zoom in on a photo, choose one specific thing and then zoom out of the photo. So it helps me concentrate my paragraph. So first paragraph's talking about something, second about something else, third about something else. So there was a really famous exam, the one that I sat for my GCSEs, or the one before mine, was this it was my favourite actually because it was Gothic, and I absolutely love Gothic. It was about this, it was this gate which had the moon and blah 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 blah. It was really cool to describe because I could talk about anything. I could literally bring in any Gothic to it. So what I did, I started off by talking about the gates looking like distorted bones, using that simile like distorted bones. I talked about the sallow moon. I talked about the barbed wire like trees. I talked about I just basically describe the photo in using a good use of vocabulary, and I'd recommend learning five high level or high register vocabulary terms per sort of topic. By topic I mean fire imagery or Gothic imagery or color imagery. Color is so important for anything. You need to know. You cannot just say the red sky or the blue sky or the white moon. You have to bring in different colors, and this is something that a lot of you do not do. You need to know different shades of color. Shades of colors are so good. Emerald or lime or honey or toffee or lemon or lime. It's so simple to do these things, but scarlet, maroon, mahogany, things like that. Use those rather than just saying yellow or red or purple or stuff like that. Use colour to describe your setting. The next big thing that I wanted to say is write in the present tense. Now, you do this only if you're confident that you can stick to the present tense. The one thing that examiners will discredit you for is switching tenses. So if you can stick in the historic present or the present tense, do that because it makes your piece a lot more vivid. So the sallow moon looms over the so-and-so rather than the sallow moon loomed over the so-and-so, because you want to do that if you can stay in the present tense all the way throughout. If not, then just stick to the past. But reason being, it just makes your writing more vivid and more sort of, I don't know, it's just a technique a lot of writers use. The next thing that you want to do is use a lot of literary devices metaphors, similes, personification, sibilance, alliteration, pathetic fallacy, juxtaposition, oxymorons. Things like that will get you into the higher bands. So by sibilance, I can't think of I can't think of it on the spot at the moment, but I'll put a picture up of my creative writing that got me 38 out of 40 in my year 10 mock exam or year something mock exam. But yeah, it's really, really important that you use these literary devices, because if you don't, then you're missing out on easy marks, because it's basic knowledge. So the way I like to do it is I like to get inspiration from the texts I've read from either outside of school, like outside of the paper, or in the paper. Like the first two extracts you get, take inspiration from them. It's not plagiarism if you copy one or two words. Do that, because it might push you up into a higher band. The next thing, sentence structure. Sentence structure is also really, really important. By that I mean, don't just write long winded sentences with commas and full stops. Make some abrupt. If there's dramatic tension, maybe do a one word sentence or even a one word paragraph. That gets you a lot of marks, because you're varying your structure. The next thing is using punctuation, full stops, commas, exclamation marks, question marks, semicolons, colons. Those, again, the semicolons, colons, if you use them correctly, they will get you your high marks. So that's for paper one. And end your description or story on something powerful. Make it a powerful description. Do not be boring. Do not sort of stay hidden. Just put as much stuff as you can on the page, but by that, make sure it's quality, not quantity. But put as much good stuff onto the page as possible, rather than just waffling on for lines and lines and lines. My thing was quite short, but it was very, very powerful, and I just basically crammed it with literary devices, with sibilants, with alliteration, with semicolons, colons. It wasn't even more than a page or two, and it still got 38 out of 40, so please do that. Now for paper two is definitely harder, because it's like, it's your response. It's like a letter to your mayor. Or it's like an article. I prefer the article because I can structure it way better. Letters were not my favourite, because letters, like, you have to actually structure in a good way with I always forgot the structure for a letter. It wasn't good. But you have to be persuasive. Letters are all about the art of persuasion. I remember that one of my letters was to convince the mayor to allow people to forbid people to ride their bikes on the pavement, and I had to develop an argument, but also in the tone that you would write to your local mayor, rather than a tone that you'd write to your local friend. So toning is, like, the tone you write in is so important for paper two, because you have to write in a tone that is deliverable to the person you're writing for. Now, articles are easier because you have a specific audience in mind. So I think it gives, I can't remember how the paper works, but based on my tips for writing an article: context, audience, purpose. What is the context of your article? Who is the audience? Your language has to be directed to an audience. If your audience are teenagers, use language that will be sort of targeted towards teens. Don't use big words because the teens won't understand it. But whereas if it's like an article that's found on the Times or the Telegraph or something like that, then use fancy words, because it's aimed at a completely different audience. And purpose. What is your article's purpose? Is it to inform? Is it to persuade? Is it to convey a political message? This also, like, the context, audience, purpose, those three things have to be sort of outlined in your article somewhere. Your article needs to give off those vibes, if you get me. So in your article, you should, again, use literary devices. Don't focus on, like, alliteration, things like that, sibilants. That's more for paper one. But stuff like hyperboles, like, did you know so and so many people? Did you know thousands of people come to the UK borders every single day seeking asylum, blah 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 blah. You have to take a tone which will be which will either be informative or like you're criticizing something or you're drawing attention to a matter, and you have to be really clever about it. You have to be punchy. You have to include a headline. This is something that so many people forget to do. Especially for paper 1, paper 2, you need a title for paper 1 creative writing, and a headline and subheadings for paper 2. That's so important. Do not forget those, and make sure they're impact. Make sure they're punchy. Make sure that can have alliteration, that can have sibilance. Make sure you don't forget those things, because that is crucial. You get a headline in and subheadings and stuff like that. Can't make coughs. And finally, the tip I just wanted to leave you with is make sure you leave time for your creative writing, because it is literally half of the paper. So make sure you leave time for the creative writing. I like to do my creative writing last, because I can read the text and gain inspiration from them. But make sure you leave time for it, and make sure you plan. Big thing is to plan. Go into your exam with pre-planned material, pre-planned phrases that you might want to throw in wherever you can. But on the day, make sure you plan it. Make sure you plan the structure. Make sure you, because a plan, it helps you actually write in a succinct way. So that's it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and good luck with your English language exam. Next video, don't know what it will be, but please do subscribe and stay tuned. Bye guys.